Coming up on Monday morning. Coming up this morning on the Dattitude podcast, now that the shock has worn off and the news of Derek Carr's retirement, we could dive into exactly what happens now and how much money, if any, it frees up for this year and beyond. When do we get out of this cap hell again? Also, is Tyler Shough automatically at the front of the line in the QB1 race? Or will Spencer Rattler, or a veteran quarterback to be named later, going to have something to say about it? Oh, and if timing says everything, what does the Saturday morning release of Carr's retirement really say? Do we even believe in coincidences? What you talking about, Derry? We'll most certainly get to that. And Kelvin Banks played both tackle and guard this weekend at rookie minicamp, so we'll have to guess a bit on where he might end up. We'll talk about that. Lastly, Gabe is here to weigh in and help us process all this cap info. And today's last word is on an umpire with a really thin skin. I got a poker game to get to tonight, so let's get this show rolling before something else happens.
If you're looking for the latest scoop and in-depth interviews on the Saints, the NFL, the Pelicans, LSU, along with the best bets of the week, then lucky you. Along with high-powered, in-the-know guests who cover our teams, Jim Derry brings plenty of Dattitude. And he'll always tell you the way it is, or at least the way he thinks it is.
Where you at, Dattitude family? Is it sunk in yet? How many of you danced and sang all weekend long? You probably even forgot it was Mother's Day, you bunch of dirtbags. Hope you got your moms and your wives something and did something nice for them. I know I did. I know this. It was not the worst Mother's Day ever. That is an inside story. Maybe I'll tell it to you one day. Not today. Good thing you didn't forget this is Dattitude, episode number 373, presented by Evangeline Securities for a Monday, May the 12th, 2025, our first Monday without Derek Carr as quarterback. Yippee-ki-yay. Woohoo. Oh, yeah. I can't wait for the comments this morning. I'm your host, Jim Derry, coming up on 35 years in the New Orleans sports media scene. This saga of my career is over. Thank goodness. You know what I'm really thankful for? I'm thankful for you being a part of our ever-growing Dattitude family, whether you're with me or not with me. What is on the show today? Well, first, thank God it's Monday. No. This has been the most this has got to be the most aggravating morning I can remember in I don't know how long. I mean, it's one of those, everything that can go wrong on a Monday is going wrong. I can't get my computer to cooperate. I got a fly buzzing around my head that I can't find. I mean, I got this thing. I'm ready to just smack it. That's what I'm dealing with this morning. Yeah, my patience, just like Carr, is gone. My patience and Derek Carr are both gone. First, it's the last, maybe it's because it's the last full week of school for the children, and I know it's coming, and I'm trying to brace myself. And somewhere out there, someone is saying, you ain't bracing for crap, pal. You're going to do whatever we tell you. And you're going to go with it the way we want you to go with it. Aggravating. Anyway. What's on the show today? Let's get to the good news. What's on the show today? Carr gone. Now you can see it. If you can't see it, I'll tell you what it says. It says Carr is gone. Now what? That is the lead. I also want to talk about, I changed my front page today because I didn't want to stir too much controversy. But we're going to stir controversy anyway. I'm just not going to make it the lead. I'm not going to make it the title. And I'll let you in on a little secret. You're here. Most of you here are Dattitude regulars. My original title slide was timing is everything. And I am not a believer in, of course there are coincidences here and there. But for the most part, I'm not just a coincidence. That's just a coincidence. That's not me. And I want to talk a little bit coming up after the dime. We're going to talk about not just Carr being gone, but when it was announced he was gone. Some of you may not think it's a big deal. Some of you may say, Derry, who gives a damn? You're just, it is pure speculation. We're never going to get anyone to tell us this, of course. But I think there's something about why it was announced on Saturday, because Saturday's a weird day to announce anything, right? I mean, someone said this the other day, and I kind of blew them off, and then I started looking into some things. And the more I looked into it, the more it was even more super odd that it was Saturday. So we're going to get into that. If any of you know where I'm going with this, I might have said, I don't remember whether I said something about it this past Saturday or not. I think I did, but I think I just touched on it. If you know where I'm going with this, go ahead, say it in the comments. Today is Mano E Monday, by the way. It's going to be me, it's going to be Gabe, it's going to be you. Those are the only people talking today. No guests today. I kind of like it like this. We've been having some good shows lately, and the best shows that we've had as of late have been just you and I. The show's really taken off the past couple weeks. I thank you for that. I can't do it without you. We got some newbies in here. We'll be talking to everybody. If you don't know this already, you could be a part of the show by typing in your comment on YouTube or Facebook. And if you haven't already done so, like so many others have done, please subscribe to the Dattitude YouTube page. You can click the if you're on there, give us a like, help the algorithm. Me and the algorithm are trying to become buddies. He won't return my calls, but we're still trying to become buddies anyway. Me and old Algie. Yep. Seeing what goes on with him. And you can get in touch with me on X at Jim Derry Jr. via email at jderry@theadvocate.com. I got so many emails this weekend. I mean, tons of emails. I'm sorry if I didn't respond to them all. I'm not ignoring you. It was Mother's Day weekend. I did have to spend yesterday with the family. I came home. I worked a little bit last night, but trying to get ready for today, but probably not as much as I should have, because as you can see, the regulars know, at 11 o'clock, 11:00:00, we hit start button. We are punctual. Gabe and I are punctual. But today I had some issues, and so we didn't start till about 11:02 today. Or 11, maybe it's later than that. Well, must have been like 11:05. So that's the reason why we started late. I had all kinds of issues. It's that kind of Monday. But anyway, so I'm not ignoring the people who emailed me over the weekend. I appreciate you. We'll try to talk about it here today. And if I haven't, I'll try to respond to you later on. Before we get to the gist of the show, our general things about today, LSU won 2 of 3 over Arkansas in baseball. We are going to talk about LSU baseball going forward a little bit more. Probably not as much as we did last year, but as we go along, and 2 years ago especially, as we go along, we're definitely going to incorporate LSU baseball into the show. Just to let you know, we're not ignoring them. So much Saints news to talk about. That's what it is. LSU is number 1 again after Texas dropped the series at home to Florida. So got that alert from NOLA.com. Gabe is telling me in the chat as well. And then NBA this weekend. I gotta say, who cares? I'm not gonna spend any time talking about that. I really have been trying. It's just I can't get into it. I really can't. And then one other thing, college baseball wise, I just want to mention this. Some of you may have noticed I dropped an interview on the DAT page this morning at about 8 o'clock this morning. I did an interview with LSU Shreveport baseball coach Brad Neffendorf over the weekend, and I was going to run the entire 22-minute interview here on the show, 25 minutes, actually 25-minute interview with LSU Shreveport. The Pilots went 51-0 in their regular season. They start their NAIA regional this morning. I told you last week it was the last word, I think Friday or Wednesday. I don't remember. Whatever day. We didn't have a show Friday, so it had to be Wednesday. And I told you I was going to go out and get Coach Neffendorf, and I did. And I was going to make the interview in this show, but then Derek Carr happened. And look, I can't. No offense to Coach Neffendorf, and no offense to LSU Shreveport at all, but I don't think we could have a show today talking about LSU Shreveport for 25 minutes. No offense, but I don't think we could. So I dropped it separately. I think it's a very interesting interview. If y'all, when we're done with the show today, if you want to go take a look at it, it is on the Dattitude page. It is in the category Dattitude. It's not that hard to find, and I will try to drop it on NOLA.com and their Shreveport page if I can figure out how to do that. So again, no slight to Coach Neffendorf. And then I was going to run part of the clip today, and it just doesn't fit in. So that is not in today's show. And then the last word today, it relates to LSU baseball. With a short fuse. Did you see Coach Jay Johnson get kicked out of yesterday's game? You normally when a coach gets kicked out of a game, it's because he's cussing or he's been bugging an umpire. No, he got an ump with a short fuse who absolutely does not belong coaching umpiring college baseball. Probably doesn't belong umpiring, period. Going to show that clip to you at the end of the show today and give you my thoughts on that. We got to get to the comments. Before we do it, you know what? I'm going to change the slide here because we're going to go right into Saints here this morning. That's right. The era of the rebuilding begins. But before we get to that and the rest of the show, let me tell you about our friends at Evangeline Securities. Of course, they're a company that can help you decide if it's the right time to sell your family-run or privately held business. And just as important, they can figure out what that business is worth. If that's you or someone you know, call Derek Carr. Call whoever you want. It's time to reach out to Evangeline's founding and managing partners, Nick Braden and Ron Hemelt. They will start by scheduling a complimentary valuation from their offices either on Poydras Street or in Lafayette. And from there, you will be well-informed and begin to make the decision on if you decide to proceed. What happens after that? Well, we can all retire at age 34. Some of us, I guess, are lucky enough to do so and go drive Rolls Royces around, whatever. We'll tell you more what happens later in the show. In the meantime, you can check them out at www.evangelinesecurities.com. All right, let's go to the comment stream. I got Derry's Dom comment coming up. Nola Man says this is going to be a good show for comments. Yeah, can't wait. As good as Saturday. Did you even know I was doing a show Saturday? I didn't know until last minute. We decided to do it. Worked out pretty good. I got the I was wrong off my chest. A-Town, good morning, Jim and Gabe. It's going to be an epic episode of Dattitude. You got your racetrack coffee. Me too. I'm trying to keep the fly. I got one fly. I'm not joking. It's one fly. It's pissing me off. If you see me doing this, I'm not conducting a band. A-Town also hopes the Pels get a top 3 pick in tonight's draft lottery. You notice I'm not even talking about that either. They don't deserve a top 3 pick. I guess it doesn't mean that. I hope they get one. I don't know. We'll talk about that later. We got a lot going on this week. Wednesday, schedule release. I'm going to talk about, we're leading into that. We'll talk more about odds. I do have a slide on odds and how they've changed. They really didn't change all that much, which goes to show maybe I should listen to the odds makers. I always preach listening to the odds makers, and I completely ignored them this time. And what did it get me? It got me having a show on Saturday to tell you how wrong I was. There you go. Apathy, good morning. I'm not a fan of Derek Carr's, but I'm going to celebrate him having an injury that he felt retirement was his best option. Excited for the new quarterback era, for better or worse, though. Oh, we're going to get into the for better or worse. That's what Derry's Dime is all about, for better or worse. Phil Mariandi, good morning. Mark Gapsky, good morning. Shough quarterback number 1. He is right now. UBN. Am I late? Nope. Po' boy. I ate the po' boy. It's gone. No more crow in the freezer. I guess I'll have to go get some more. Good morning, Teresa. Rocky, Carr is gone. Let's move on and make this team respectable again. Good luck with that. Just saying. Again, you want to hear Derry's Dime. Scott, had him worried that I would run late on one of these rare times I join live. Yeah. I told you it's even guys like me have Monday mornings every now and then. Phil says enough of the car talk. Can we move on to team and support? We'll eventually. You can't have a Saint show right now and not talk about Derek Carr. Okay? We are going to talk about the other players, but you can't right now. It just happened. Let's be realistic. David Nola 985 or 985 probably area code where I live. Kenny Pickett trade on deck. Watch the fan base melt down. Nah. There is a free agent out there, though, that the fan base half the fan base would probably be happy. Maybe not half. 30% of the fan base would be happy. And the other 70%, including a talk show, podcast host, would probably melt down. You can guess who that is. Gabe says just wait for Jameis's return. You know what, Gabe? That would be hilarious because then people would remember again. Oh, yeah. I really did say bad things about Jameis. It wasn't a bunch of BS. Don't get me started. Lance Dobard, good morning. Who dat? Dylan Smith. I snuck in a Saturday podcast. I did. You thought you had your bell. Now you got to have your bell. It shows you got to have the bell on. You never know. Can we move on from Carr now? No, we can't. Again, you can't have a podcast talking about the Saints 2 days after he retired and not talk about him. You can't. It's simply not possible. I dare you to, even the fanboys they're going to kick him until they're tired of kicking him. Y'all can too if you want. I'm not going to kick him. But I'm telling you, I have something to talk about specifically related to Derek Carr. It's probably going to take 10 minutes at least. The timing of the retirement. It's not a coincidence, people. Just saying. Barry Ulay, good morning. You looking forward to this one? I was too until I couldn't get things to work. It's one of those mornings too where I went and got this coffee. Actually is kind of cold. I went and got it earlier than usual because I knew I had so much to do this morning. I worked last night, and when I went to bed, I'm like, at some point I said, I got to go to bed. But I got to get up early and whatever, get the kid, do what you got to do, hurry up, get back. Did all that, and the computer just wasn't cooperating. Lance says he's got no hate left in him. Well, I hope not. I mean, what are you going to hate? What are you going to hate? Dylan says Jay Johnson got tossed. Yeah, that's my last word today. Robbo, I haven't seen you in a while, Robbo. Where you been? Saints will get hammered in 2025, but Kellen will shape them into a top-tier club. Without hope, life is meaningless, my friend. Christopher Fava, new era of Saints football begins soon, and the Flies are a pain. Another reason why I hate this time of year. Number one, I hate this time. Today, I soaked it in. I walked outside. It was about 62 degrees. Nash Roberts, welcome back. It was about 62 degrees when I walked outside. It was awesome. It was perfect. And I'm like, this is probably the last. I looked at the forecast and like, this is probably the last morning I'm going to feel this for minimum 4 months, maybe longer. I hate, in case you're new to the show, hate summer. And there's no spring in New Orleans. You go straight from, it seems like we just had snow like a week ago. That's a long time ago. You go straight from, oh, it feels beautiful, it's wonderful, it's nice, to 91. I saw the future forecast. Shove it up your keister, Uncle Big Nick. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 90, 90, 90, 91. Piss off. Robbo says Saints are going to go 8-9. LSU wins the national championship. Rattler cut. I don't think any of those things are going to happen. However, if I had to put them in order of possibilities, I would say, believe it or not, I would say number one, LSU wins the national championship. Number two, Saints go 8-9. And number three, Rattler getting cut. Rattler ain't getting cut. Oh, you got me, A-Town. You're stealing my lines. You're just changing the words. That's right. I may use this. Derek Carr is gone and he's not coming back. That's not fair. You can't do that. Who that daddy? You know, he was dancing down Poydras Street. Who that family? Has anyone seen Derek Carr? You can at least spell the dude's name right. Who that daddy? Come on, man. Come on, man. Cecil Evans, good morning. Saints fans dislike Carr because he was a constant reminder of Dennis Allen, who the fans really hated. I can see that. That's a logical comment there. We don't always get logical comments, especially on a Monday morning, but that is a logical comment. You find out Carr retired in the Dome during a moment of prayer at Loyola graduation. Wow. That's kind of ironic. Oh, some of y'all are guessing why Derek Carr. Oh, I did say it. Okay. But some of y'all are guessing correctly why Saturday morning. Saturday morning. Rocky says this show is the best. Thank you. Brian Cabot. For those thinking this is like some kind of miracle for the cat, be warned there is so much additional dead money set to hit the books. You are not reading correctly. The real relief is not till 28. You are reading incorrectly. We will get into that. You're very much reading incorrectly. We'll get into that again. That is not true, that it's going to take till 2028. Derek Carr did the Saints a big favor. Didn't have to. Let's see. What else we got? Where am I? Tetters. Where you been, Tetters? I haven't seen you in a little bit. Poor Derek Carr. Love, peace, and chicken grease. You can't say poor Derek Carr. See, y'all laughing about him, but he's the one that's laughing to the bank. That dude got more money than just about all of y'all combined. Y'all can hate on him all you want, but he doesn't give a rat's ass about any of y'all, and he doesn't have to anymore. I'm just saying. Y'all going to keep hating on him. Alan Levy says they need a veteran quarterback. You see last season how Rattler and Hainer played? Not good. Oh, we're going to get to that. That's in Derry's dime. Bird Sanford has got his eyes on us. He's watching. You need my email, Mark. It is jderry@theadvocate.com. jderry@theadvocate.com. Who that daddy says the last day he's going to be ragging on Carr fans. It's going to be okay. Okay. Chad Gage, good morning. PBM, he's going to be defending Carr today. Carr had more yards in his 11 years than Breeze did in his first 11. Oh, you can't say that. You better not put your address on this show. You better leave your address out of the comments. If Carr played for 20 years with 16 being in one system, the numbers would be comparable. I'm going to say this, okay? In defense of the Carr haters, PBM, I have probably been as much of a Carr defender as anyone in the media, I guess. That doesn't mean I've necessarily been a Carr defender. I've just not been a Carr hater. One thing you can't say about Derek Carr is, I don't know, Drew Brees, 2001 was his first season? I know 2009, he won a Super Bowl with the 2009 season. Carr never came even kind of close to that. Now, Drew Brees had a completely different offensive line that was way better than any offensive line than Derek Carr played with. I'll give him credit for that. But, I mean, they're not even close. I mean, Derek Carr and Drew Brees, not even close. Who that daddy? I apologize. Got to talk a little bit about Pelicans lottery day pick. I'm just not going to do it today. I'll probably talk about it Wednesday after it's said and done. But, I mean, what am I going to talk about today? They may or may not get a lottery pick. I just can't. I can't do it. I just can't do it. Owen, I haven't seen you in a while. Owen Attilio, good morning. Always a great show. You're so glad Carr is gone. I bet. Maybe that's why so many of these people are back. They got tired of me hearing talking about Carr. Now that he's gone, they can come back. If you didn't see Saturday's show, I had an entire hour and a half of telling you how wrong I was. Okay, so if you haven't been back in a while, again, I'm seeing a lot of names I haven't seen in a while. You can go back if you're a Carr hater and you didn't know I was doing a Saturday show. I didn't know I was doing a Saturday show until like last minute. You can go back and watch that. You can see how wrong I was. I think it might end up being the most watched Dattitude ever. It's getting there. Not quite there yet, but it's close. It's close. Joseph Long says Derek Carr could have taken the money and he didn't. He deserves respect for that. I agree. He also says Woods Olave's concussion situation reminds him too of one bad hit away from retirement. Well, his concussion situation is he intends to play this year. He's going to be the Saints' #1 receiver unless something weird happens before opening day. And I don't disagree with you. He very well could be one bad hit away from retirement, but you know what? Tua keeps coming back. These dudes, all you can do is present them with the information, okay? I'm not saying I have no idea. I'm not a doctor, and I'm not Chris Olave, and I'm not his family. I can't tell you what I think Chris Olave should do. All you can do is present these guys with the information and let them make the decision. I know this, that no matter how much I loved football, if it were, I'm going to end up like, so many other guys. Think of Junior Seau. What happened to Junior Seau? Google it if you don't know. We're going off the rails here on the crazy train. It is what it is. Who that daddy says Saturday's show is great. I still have black feathers caught. There ain't nothing but gray in this beard, my friend. White. Maybe I'll grow the Santa Claus beard this year. Might be the last year. The little one. Well, there might be kids listening to the show. Anyway, maybe I'll grow a Santa Claus beard and I'll pretend like I'm Santa. I did that back when I was 21 at a local department store. I played Santa. You want to talk about going off the rail? I'm just all over the place this morning. Aaron Smith, you came back. Glad you're here. Thanks for coming back. Banned. He should have retired before the damn draft. You think? Maybe there's a reason why he didn't. Again, I'm going to get to that. David Robinson. The Admiral's here. Oh, not that David Robinson. Anything positive will be unexpected at this point. No trust in Loomis. Now, here's positivity, brother. Brian Dubo says 3-14 if we're lucky. GP, Jeff Duncan's article explained how I felt about him better than I could. Didn't seem like a bad dude, but there was just something off or missing about him. I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that. Jack Hunter, welcome to the show. Lance says it wasn't a favor. He wanted out. Saints held. Oh, God. You're just not going to give. Yeah, I'm not going to get into. If you're not going to give him any credit for anything, I'm not showing your comment. Sorry. It's not. You're wrong. Okay? If you're not going to give him any, he did not have to do any of this crap. Okay? It was a favor to the Saints. He did. Even if he wanted out, he still did the Saints a favor. We're going to get into the cap. Lance, I love you. You're a regular. You're one of my favorite commenters. You're one of my favorite members of the Dattitude family. But you're wrong. If you're not going to give him any credit for doing the Saints a solid, you're just wrong and you hate that much. It doesn't. He's gone now. You don't have to hate him anymore. Show you the difference of opinions. Reginald Walker, in his final act as Saints quarterback, Carr finally did the right thing. Now, here's someone who doesn't like Carr, but is giving him credit for it. Although the Saints doctor might have found evidence that contradicted Carr's injury timing claim, he could have dragged it out. He 100% could have dragged it out. Now, that's not to say the Saints wouldn't have still cut him and tried to rework something or whatever, but they wouldn't have got the same cap relief. Look, dude, stop it. Hate him all you want. You can keep hating him all you want. Breaking news. Per Gabe Henderson, per Wilson Alexander. LSU and SMU are scheduled to play a home and home for Labor Day 2028 and 2029. Tigers just don't learn that lesson. They keep playing tough games out of the chute. At least that's not as tough as, Florida State and USC and Clemson. But still. Can't y'all just play somebody that sucks? Anyway, we'll talk about that later. Tedder says that Carr didn't suck. He just wasn't great. Agreeing the O-line issues. Pat, here's a new one. I don't know this name. Welcome to the Dattitude family. Pat Walchuk. Doesn't matter who we get at quarterback. If our O-line isn't shored up, our offense will not approve. Add that to we need a healthy receiver core. Can't disagree with any of that. I think they've taken a big step. We're going to talk about Kelvin Banks today. So I know y'all are tired of talking about Derek Carr. We're going to talk about a lot of things. Dylan Smith, we got one who says they'll be lucky to be 3-14. Dylan Smith says Shough is going to shock us all. 10 wins incoming. He doesn't say how long it's going to take to get 10 wins. They might get 10 wins, but it might be the 2025, 2026, and 2027 season. Come on. Stop it, Gabe. Not 0.0, but it ain't high. PBM says, I'm right. They're not close. Carr is a better arm talent, quicker release, and better deep ball. I'm not trying to be. Again, I got to get into the dime. Let me get through these last few comments, and then I'm going to get to my dime. Nelly says, good morning. Derek sure did us a favor on the cap. Oh, not if you listen to some people who hate him. He didn't do anybody any favors. He's just a jackass. He didn't do anyone favors except himself. Sorry. Get out of here. GP says, I'm not convinced it's as simple as he could have taken the money. Probably a lot more to the story than we know. I bet the team was going to try to claw some money back. They could try to do whatever the hell they want. If Derek Carr says, I'm not going anywhere, or if he decided, you know what, screw you, I'm going to get surgery and make you pay me and put me on IR, he could have done all those things. He didn't. He did the Saints a favor. A-Town, show the crowd video from Saturday. No, you know what I showed? This is what I showed on Saturday. In case you missed it. I told you I was going to take the Crow Po' Boy out of the freezer, this is what I showed. Ate my crow po' boy. I didn't even put any hot sauce on it. I just ate it. Just ate it. GP says nobody leaves $30 million on the table willingly. None of us here would. I'm guessing the way they settled it was the cleanest and most amicable way. I'll leave that one alone. All right. Let's see. It's a bunch of. There you go. Montreal, welcome. He's glad Carr is gone. You and a lot of other people. You might not be so glad in a few months. We agree to disagree. Okay. It's just not factual, but sure, we can agree to disagree. Lance. Who dat, Samuel? Rocky. He's a jackass. But he did do the Saints a solid. Oh, ridiculous, dude. Seriously, y'all are ridiculous. All right, time for the dime. We will come back to the comments as soon as I'm done with my dime here. But I got something to say before we get into the timing of this. And I want to talk. Y'all wanted to talk more about what's coming up in the future. All right. Let's talk about the future. You see the title slide here? It says the era of rebuilding begins. For those listening to the podcast and can't see the title slide. You know, the Saints never want to use the R word, but I'll use it. Some people are happy the team has officially begun the rebuilding process, but don't kid yourself. This honeymoon process will be brief. The big bad wolf who tried to keep it positive, brother, but who never endeared himself to the fan base, well, he's gone. And don't kid yourself, unless there's unquestioned success right off the bat, haters who will only know how to do one thing, and they'll have to find someone new to hate. They won't be able to help themselves. Of course, Mickey Loomis will be the easy target, but if it gets bad, the haters will look for young blood to feed off of. Will it be the new quarterback? We don't even know who that'll be. Rookie Tyler Shough or a veteran to be determined? Spencer Rattler? Will it be the new head coach, Kellen Moore? Will it be the old line veterans who likely will be hanging up their cleats someday soon? What I'm asking is, if this team is 3-10 this November, is everyone who is asking for this rebuild, are they all going to be okay with it? Or will we have our usual hypocrites? Of course, the home office is sending their usual smoke signals that this isn't a rebuild. And even if it is, they're still going to compete. But how do you compete when you don't have a single quarterback on your roster with not one NFL victory? It's one thing to start a rookie. It's another to not even have a quarterback in the room who has never started a game that has led to victory. That includes the head coach, who was 0-2 in his only NFL starts. That means, including Moore, the quarterbacks in the room are 0-9 in the NFL with 9 touchdown passes and 12 interceptions. Hey, remember that time we had to lead our team back from 20-10? We were down 20-10. We won late in the fourth quarter. Oh, no, you don't remember that? Oh, me neither. Hey, what about the time that we stormed out of the gate and we won wire to wire? Oh, wait, that was at South Carolina, and it was 2023 against Jacksonville State. Oh, and we only won by 10. Damn, you got me. I don't know. But don't fret. Haters will find a way to hate. They're always here. They like to yell at me and scream at me for defending people that they don't like. But now that that person's gone and we move on and start talking about other people, what if things go south quickly? Are you still going to blame the past? No, you're going to go out and you're going to blame Mickey Loomis and company. That's who you're going to blame. Look, I have a problem with, as I end the dime here, and I have a short one this afternoon because we're still this morning, but I'm just going to say, as the Saints move on, all you people asking for this rebuilding era to begin, don't be hypocrites 6 months from now or 9 months from now or even a year from now. Don't try to find someone else to blame if they stink, because this is what y'all wanted, okay? In the grand scheme of things, even if you hate Mickey Loomis, he's doing what y'all wanted him to do. He found a way to get rid of Carr, whether Carr left on his own or they came to some kind of agreement or whatever it was. Yeah, you're probably right. I told you the other day. I was wrong. Y'all were right. Carr obviously didn't want to be here. Someone said, whoever it was earlier, that said, you don't leave $30 million on the table. You do if you don't want to be in a certain situation. I know there have been many times in my career when I could have gone somewhere else for more money and maybe even more security. And I turned it down because I stayed somewhere I wanted to stay. Could have been the same for Derek Carr in the opposite direction. Maybe y'all were right. Maybe he knew that no one wanted him here, and so he left. And he says, you know what? Let's just get it all over with. It's time. When I got my first divorce, my only divorce, I've been married twice. Okay, I'm in my second marriage. Hopefully the last one. This one seems to have taken. But my first marriage ended in divorce. And I wanted out so bad, I gave her everything. I just wanted out. I didn't care. I could have got a lot more. I should have, could have, would have got the house that we were living in. Didn't want to. Didn't care. I just wanted out. And the easiest way out was to give everything away. And that's what I did. Derek Carr is divorcing the city of New Orleans. Again, many of you are ecstatic. You don't care what you get in return. But that's where we are today. And so to say that nobody leaves $30 million on the table, you're wrong. To say that he didn't do the Saints a favor, well, I mean, I guess it depends on how you look at it. If he wanted to leave as much as you fans wanted him gone, maybe you're right. Maybe he wasn't doing anybody a favor. But the point is, don't blame someone else now as we move along. Again, as much as you hate Mickey Loomis, and that's going to be the next person you blame, he's pretty much, yeah, he's the one that got him in this hole, but he's also the one that is helping dig him out of this hole too. He's doing what y'all want him to do in the grand scheme of things. He got you a new coach, an offensive-minded coach, a young coach, a guy that could be one day like Sean Payton, and he got rid of the big bad wolf. So if Tyler Shough stinks it up, or Spencer Rattler stinks it up, or Carson Wentz, or Teddy Bridgewater, or dare I say it, God forbid, Aaron Rodgers comes in here and stinks it up, remember, today, we're talking about on May 12th, you got what you wanted. Give us some time to rebuild, because the era of rebuilding absolutely begins. And it began on Saturday. Again, that's the dime. You don't want to hear it. But don't come back here, because I take receipts. Rocky says we sit and hope. Samuel is being positive. Coach him up. Moore's a good coach with his staff. Coach him up. Gonna have to. Jack Hunter says Derek Carr did himself a favor and he got free from the Saints. Stop. I don't know. Are you being facetious? Not sure what you mean there. Carr and the Who Dat Daddy saying Carr and the Saints made a deal to allow him and come back and play for another team in a year. I mean, that's a possibility. But if his shoulder's as bad as they're saying, he's still going to need surgery. He says he doesn't want surgery. I got to be honest. I mean, again, obviously I've been wrong before because I was wrong about the whole Carr situation here, but I don't think he's coming back. I really don't. I don't think he's coming back. I think he's done with football. Because if you think about it, the one thing that I said about all this common sense stuff that does ring true, it didn't make sense for me for a quarterback to sit out his 34-year-old season if he wanted to play longer and go into and be a starting quarterback again. Derek Carr is at this point of his career with a bum shoulder. There's no, from everything I'm reading, he can't come back unless he has a surgery. Is he going to go through all that to come back and have to fight to be somebody's starter and make almost nothing? Because at this point in his career, he's not even going to get Jameis Winston money at this point. Just saying, I don't think you're wrong. I think you're wrong. So we'll see. Anyway, I've already talked about being wrong. I've admitted I was wrong. Doesn't mean what I'm not saying today isn't right. You'll be probably one of the hypocrites who comes back here and start blaming somebody else later. I don't know what you're talking about, Rich. Gabe is complaining about a comment that got deleted. Did we delete a comment? No. Don't know what you're talking about, Rich. Don't know why that comment wasn't anywhere near disrespectful to get deleted. We have not deleted a comment today. Not a single one. Don't know what you're talking about. David Nola. Now, see, this is just dumb. You're hoping for an 0-17 season, honestly. For what? What good could that possibly do you? You know what? Again, any Saints fan who calls themselves a real fan, and look, these kinds of comments piss me off, so I'm gonna talk about it here. And we got some videos to show you. I want to start talking about the future. Okay. I'm not going to talk about. There's one more thing I got to talk about, Carr, and it's the timing. But why would you hope for an 0-17 season? What good could that get you the number 1 draft pick? So what? Big Sean. Another one. So then we'll have the top pick in next year's draft, which has better quarterbacks, win-win situations. What are you talking about? Losing does nothing for you except make you a loser. And if they go 0-17, you might lose your coach. I think there's a good chance. It's ridiculous. 0-17. You're full of crap anyway. Nobody wants to go through that crap. Were you alive in 1980? Because I remember 1-15 and it sucked. Ask Lions fans about 0-16. It sucked. Oh, good Lord. Lance, I love you, but this is the last comment I show if you keep saying this kind of crap. Who says it's a bum shoulder, the Saints car? Don't try. His shoulder's hurt. Okay. It's not made up. Okay. We all questioned this beforehand, but you don't just retire. You just don't. God, y'all hate so much. Y'all just can't give him a break. I get you mean number 1 pick. Who gives a shit? You know what it does? It makes you a loser. Number 1 pick doesn't do jack for you. We went through this. We had go back and I don't know what show it was 3-4 weeks ago. We showed you what the number 1 pick has done for teams the last 5-6 years. Nothing. They're still losers. The teams that have gotten the number 1 picks, they still suck. Doesn't make you a winner anytime soon. You go 0-17, you're taking the wrong step. It doesn't do you any good. Stop talking like that. Jeez. Ellie Mel says, and Shough he trusts. Well, speaking of Tyler Shough, I find it interesting. Well, he's going to wear number 6, okay, which is Thomas Morstead's old number, and Thomas Morstead basically came out and said, "Go ahead, wear my number. It's okay." Which, I mean, I think we've already had people wear number 6. Didn't Marcus May wear number 6? Anyway, did you ever think that 6 is just 9 upside down? Is Tyler Shough going to be upside down 9? I don't know. Yeah, I know I'm reaching. But let's hear from Tyler Shough and what he had to say at minicamp this weekend. I got clips from him, Kellen Moore, and Kelvin Banks that I want to run this morning. And this clip is 1 minute and 29 seconds. I found it interesting. It also talks about when he learned about Derek Carr. Obviously, he didn't know anything. But I think he knew coming in that there was some kind of likelihood that something would happen, that he'd have an excellent chance to start. I ate crow. He looks like the crow who ate the canary.
I haven't had any. He just hasn't been here, and I've only been here for the past 2 days. So Kellen told me this morning, and that was the extent of it, and then went out to practice and had a lot of fun. And I think that's all you can ask for is an opportunity at any position. And I'm going to treat it the same way as if, whoever is on the roster, I got to continue to grow and get better and do my best to elevate the QB room and the team. And
what did Kellen, he told you that he was retiring, did anything else that come with that, or was it just a matter of fact, hey, he's retiring, go out there, good luck?
No, it was just informational. I think it was just he's doing his job, but it was right before practice, so it was just like, hey, so it wasn't a breaking news to myself as well.
Does it make it a little easier to compartmentalize because you never really were in a competition with Derek, you didn't really know him, and so it's not really something that you have to think a whole lot about because you didn't really know him?
I mean, I wouldn't say it like that. I guess I think it's just for me. I was going to come in regardless, of him being here or not, and trying to continue to grow. I think he's been such a high level player for so long. I think it'd be a great opportunity to learn from him. It's also a great opportunity to continue to grow myself and be on this team with a lot of the great coaches and guys on the team we have already. So obviously it's been really good. Getting to know everybody, getting to put a name to a face. All the people here are very nice. And I got so much work to do from this point, and I'm a rookie coming in, and I got to earn my keep and get to know everybody and continue to grow then that way, and same within the community.
There's a new face of your franchise. I mean, there's been a lot of people talking about, and a lot of the emails I got this weekend and texts I got this weekend, and the number one question I have received over the course of the past 2 days is unquestionably, what veteran is this team going to sign? I mean, I agree that they need to sign one. I'm not sure that they will, though. I'd like to see them do it. I just don't know that they're going to do it. Ahmed Hassan said, I was wrong about Carr, but reasonable about not drafting a quarterback this year. He's come around on Shough and is ready to support him. You don't have a choice. I think at this point, you got to support him. I believe that if they do bring in a veteran quarterback, it's going to be someone who is willing to come in and be a backup. Someone that knows that he is a backup from the get-go. That's why I talked the other day, and Gabe was talking about Gabe, when you come on, and I'm going to have you on in about 15 minutes, if you could call up that list of free agent quarterbacks that are available, he's going to do that, and we'll talk about that again when he comes on in about 15 minutes. But some of the names that are on the list, most of the names, well, not most of them, but the names at least at the top of the list, I'm not sure that they're willing to be backups. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. Is Carson Wentz willing to back up right now? I don't know. If he is, I mean, not necessarily a backup on a team that's probably going to be bad and it's going to have a rookie quarterback. Are you willing to do? There's a difference between willing to be a backup and willing to be a backup for a team is going to probably be crappy, and you're basically going to be like another coach in there. You can be wearing baseball caps on Sunday afternoons and holding clipboards. Do you want to do that? Does a Ryan Tannehill want to do that? I don't know. Maybe. I agree with you here, Earl. All you tank for Arch folks. By the way, Arch isn't coming out. We'll tell you this. Probably not coming out. Just go be a Falcons fan, please. If you're rooting for the same thing the Atlanta Falcons are rooting for, you're like, remember Dennis Allen apologizing to the Saints? You're just as bad as they are, as he was. You ought to go have dinner with Dennis Allen. Y'all can go hang out together. Some people think I was reaching. Ahmed said also that Jay Cutler was number 6. That's just bad juju. I want to get to Kellen Moore's clip as well. And again, I still got some more Derek Carr. I'm going to get to the Derek Carr. Trust me. And you're going to want to hear this. I want to talk about the coincidence, quote unquote, coincidence, if you believe in coincidence, on the timing. All you Carr haters who basically have given the Saints. Now, you don't give Mickey Loomis a pass, but you give the Saints a pass in general. Maybe you won't give the Saints as much of a pass when we start talking about it in a minute. I'm just saying. That's coming up. But I want to talk about Kellen. What did Kellen Moore know? I've gotten a bunch of emails as well about, and comments here. And the Saturday show after the fact, I had more comments on Saturday. By the way, Sean, I hate to tell you, there's going to be more Carr talk. You can't have a Saints show without Carr talk. You won't find a Saints show anywhere. Not a podcast, not a TV, not anytime this week. We may have a show soon, maybe as soon as next week, without talking about Derek Carr, but you can't do it today. Sorry. Not going to happen. But all these people giving the Saints a pass this whole way. I'm going to tell you now. Not now. I'm going to tell you within the next few minutes. Well, I have a real problem with the way the Saints have handled this. And I've probably talked about it more on Eric Asher's show than I've talked about it on my own show. Even if it's just optics. Why was it Saturday? Why wasn't it during the week? Why wasn't it 2 weeks ago? Did he just get a eighth opinion on Friday and say, okay, I'm going to hang? No, come on. Before I get to that, though, I want to talk about Kellen. I want to show Kellen Moore's video from over the weekend. What did he know about Derek Carr? What can we always like to read through the tea leaves on this show. What's common sense? What's not common sense? I thought his comments on Derek Carr were interesting. And I tried to cut a couple of them out, put them together. What did he have to say? Let's read through it. When did he know? 1 minute and 4 seconds. We'll be back in a minute.
Again, challenging circumstances with him being injured at the end of the year and then just kind of navigating things throughout the whole offseason process. And so, I think, Derek, the people that are a part of his life have communicated really well with the Saints. I think there's been really good communication. And so, we feel like it was done the right way. Obviously that just kind of came down at this point. Obviously, we were more aware of the injury, recently. And so as you go through that process, again, there's personal components to this that, you want to respect people's process as they go through this. These are challenging circumstances for families. And, Derek's been great through this whole process. Certainly, as we went through the draft process, we certainly felt like adding a quarterback to that room would have been very valuable under all circumstances. And certainly as, Derek's injury became something, obviously there's a little bit more awareness to it, but we were navigating it originally with that plan of if someone fell into a situation that the board fell and that player presented itself, we'd be ready to take a quarterback in a number of situations and cases. And so, certainly we felt like it played out pretty well for us.
Was that kind of contradicting statements there? Take the first part of that and then put it with the second part. He says that Derek's been opening with us from the get-go, basically, right? And then the next sentence, he says, well, we've learned recently, blah, 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 and then we wanted to draft a quarterback. They've known this since before the draft, okay? If you listen and read the tea leaves, what makes sense? Sure sounds to me like they knew this retirement thing was going to happen before the draft, which is more reason why they went out and got Tyler Shough. So what's the big deal, Derry? Why do we care? Think about this financially. And this is where my problem with the team comes in. And when they knew, what they held. I have said repeatedly on this show, on Eric Asher's show, and on just about any show that I go on. Repeatedly. I have said, look at the timing. Why did the news of Derek Carr come out when it first came out? It came out back, early April, which was just a couple weeks after that first installment for season ticket holders had to be paid. No, that's no big deal. Maybe it's just a coincidence. Maybe it is. You know what's a stranger coincidence? When the news of the retirement came out, it came out on a Saturday morning, which is less than 24 hours after the final installment for Saints tickets for season ticket holders was due. It was due on Friday, May the 9th. That's when your second installment of season tickets was due. So let's hold this news that Derek Carr is going to retire until Saturday morning. Well, the Derek Carr haters are saying, well, they would have released it before. It'd make people happy. No. Because logically, if you're paying thousands of dollars for season tickets, what are you thinking? Because the Carr haters, you are who you are. You're not going to change your opinion one way or the other. But you season ticket holders who don't want to go and see, I would be willing to guess Mr. 985 earlier, who was hoping to go to 0-17. Go ahead, tell me if I'm wrong, but I'm guessing you don't have season tickets. I bet there aren't but a handful of season ticket holders who are rooting for a 3-14 kind of year. You're not paying thousands of dollars unless you just have thousands of dollars to burn to hope your team goes 3-14 or want to sit through potentially a 3-14 season. It doesn't make sense. Make it make sense. You know what makes sense? It makes sense that I'm not saying they did this. I'm just saying it's a strange coincidence. You think it's a strange coincidence that the Saints had their release ready to go I woke up at 9 o'clock in the morning on Saturday because I had a game to do yesterday or 2 days ago. Well, obviously not planning to do a show. That release was ready to go for. You think somebody woke up on Saturday morning and typed that thing up? No, get the hell out of here. That thing wasn't typed up on Saturday morning. It was raring to go. Why wouldn't they let it go on Friday? Why wouldn't they let it go earlier in the week? Things that make sense and things that don't make. Obviously, now retirement makes sense. It didn't make sense to me. We were shocked by it. Yeah. Timing is everything. Timing is everything. Derek Branch says, how long will Kellen Moore continue to sound robotic? Well, that's funny because Gabe just texted me. Kellen Moore is as well spoken as, well, I better leave. Somebody that may, let's just say, I'm not going to go there. Probably okay, but I don't know. You get it. Oh, my goodness. Where else we got here this morning? Y'all keep saying Derek Carr's old news. Hate to tell you we're going to talk about him. I'm not trying to drive you away, but you can't have a Saints show without talking about him. I'm going to talk about him. What else? David Nola 985 says he disagrees with me about tickets and equal timing. Okay. It just so happened of all times on the planet, of all the times he could pick to announce retirement, he chose early on a Saturday morning, just hours after the deadline to renew to the final renewal of your season tickets. It just so happened to be that way. John Kirk Ortego. Y'all have nothing better to do than gossip. Of course they knew. So what? Let's get this. So what? So what? Are you kidding me? How many times do I have to say the season ticket holder deserves the right? They deserve the right to know way back whenever this started. They certainly deserve to know before they started paying on their season tickets. There are thousands of dollars they've earned the right to know. That's why it matters. So what? You may not think it matters, but I do. I think it matters for the people who pay. Again, a lot of the people who have season tickets, they don't go on vacation because they can't afford vacation. They have to choose between vacation or season tickets. And a lot of them can't even barely afford to do one of the two. They deserve to know. They deserve to know. Tedder says, they did it as I say, no doubt. I own a business, so I can't be mad at them. Got to make money. Little unethical. I was texting with a friend of mine this morning saying, I get it. It's a business. You do what's right for the business. Tom Benson, God rest his soul. Nobody ran a business better than Tom Benson. A little unethical? I think it's shitty. That's the word that I use. And Mally Mal, don't just blame Mickey. That comes from, trust me, it ain't just Mickey. I'm just realizing Mickey doesn't care about ticket holders and Saints fans. No, it's not just Mickey. Who that daddy agrees with. He doesn't agree with me all the time, but he agrees with me on the time and the news relief. It matters. Lance says if he were a season ticket holder, he'd be ticked at the move. You should be. You should be. Sorry, Nola, man. Now you're hearing that season tickets. It's a nail on that. I know. I told you to. I didn't tell you to go out and get the season tickets. I don't think I said go buy the season tickets. I don't think I said it that way. I don't think I said it exactly like that. Samuel Lindsay says the rich been crapping on a little guy forever. Lord knows, my friend. I need to watch what I say, so I ain't going to say it. But I'll just say, you ain't wrong. All right. We are going to move on for today. Yeah, you'll be happy. I'll Can't promise you because Gabe's probably going to. I got to talk about the cap space in a minute. So Derek Carr is going to come up again, but in a different way. We're going to talk about exactly. I told you we would do some research on what it would mean cap wise. I'm going to go through. Luke Johnson put a story up, I believe yesterday. I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before, but and the cap space is a little bit different than what I'd been reading through social media. It doesn't do as much good for the Saints this year as I thought. However, it does help more for 26 than I thought. Gabe kind of talked a little bit about it Saturday, but we have a little bit clearer picture. And it's great news for a 27 and beyond. Excellent news. And I also want to talk about Kelvin Banks. I got a little clip from him coming up later on, talking about him. And again, the last word is on Jay Johnson being kicked out of a game. I don't care that Jay Johnson got kicked out of a game. But I have a problem with an umpire with super thin skin. Get over yourself, dude. That's coming up. Last word. We told you earlier we'll let you know more about how Evangeline Securities can help you figure out what your family-run or privately held business might be worth and whether it's time to sell. How do they do it, you ask? Well, thanks for asking. After their complimentary valuation of your company, if you decide to proceed, native New Orleanians, Nick Braden, Ron Hemelt, and the folks at Evangeline will begin an extensive auction process from among established private equity funds from around the world. And they will maximize the return for the founder and his or her family. Evangeline Securities is a top producer on their platform. Very few companies like them in this area, and none with their dedication and success. They are fully licensed and ready to serve you. So get in touch with Nick and Ron about what's really important. It's not about the guy everyone loves to hate. It's not about Tyler Shough. It's not about Kellen Moore and his beautiful public speaking prowess. No. What's really important? The rest of your life. You can find them at www.evangelinesecurities.com. UBN says, imagine betting the over 6.5 wins on Friday night like a friend of his did. They got some really dumbass people. Speaking of that, I wanted to show the odds. Speaking of odds, I had to put them up there. Some dummy bet the over 6.5 wins on Friday night because he was sure Derek Carr was coming back and what a value is going to be. Remember how I always tell you the odds makers know more than me. They know more than you. They know more than just about everybody. They know everything. There's a reason, and I didn't listen to him. No, like a dummy. Not only did I have to eat crow po' boy, but I had to eat betting the Saints over 6.5 wins at plus 135. Here's the thing, and here's why this is proof the odds makers knew. These numbers hardly changed at all after the news broke. These are very similar to the same numbers that we saw last week. I'll tell you what changed. The over 6.5 wins is now plus 155, which means if you bet $100 on the Saints to win more than 6.5 games, obviously 7 or more, and they win 7 or more, you would get 155 in return. Conversely, you have to bet 180 to win 100 if you think it's under. So basically, the number is really 5.5 is what the number is. You just can't bet that right now. You will be able to bet it. You just can't at the moment. But the division title number remained 100% unchanged, still plus 1,000. No different. And don't tell me Derek Carr sucks. That's why I didn't. No, it has nothing to do. It has to do with the odds makers knew that Derek Carr wasn't coming back. And I always tell you to follow the odds makers, and I didn't listen to my own advice. I was wrong. Again. Wrong again. Still tastes like crap. In Super Bowl, that changed a little bit. I mean, plus 25,000 to plus 30,000. Who cares? That's where we are. I want to get into, again, we're going to talk about how the cap, what is the difference with the cap? And I'm going to bring Gabe on in about less than 2 minutes, but I want to read this to you first. Here we go. Luke Johnson wrote this on Saturday. And I'm quoting straight from the story here. This is our own Luke Johnson. If he were on the show, he would tell you the same thing. It is what it is. He says most of the implications for the salary cap will not be realized until 2026. So I was just assuming that the Saints would have a giant chunk available, which was starting to lead me to believe maybe they would go out and sign. Gotta say, I mean, I can't even say this. Maybe they would sign Aaron Rodgers. Please God, no. Please God, no. Please God, no. But they don't have nearly as much money as I thought they would have this year. He says Carr's retirement is expected to be processed after June 1, which some of y'all have been talking about. Give you credit. You were right. The transaction will clear Carr's base salary off the books for the 2026 season, clearing a $30 million commitment next year and dropping his cap hit by nearly half. So we were talking about how, remember, and I was right about this. Had they not done this, he would have been $60 million against the cap next year. However, had they just reworked this whole thing, had they forget about reworking, had they known back when maybe they did know, maybe they didn't. But when they decided to rework the contract, they could have just ate the $50 million this year. Maybe they decided it was better to eat a huge chunk this year and a huge chunk next year so they could even play this year. I don't know. But instead of being able to not have to eat anything next year, no, they got to eat 30 million. But it sure beats 60 million, which is what it would have been. New Orleans had already, and this is quoting from Luke's story, they had already restructured Carr's contract this offseason, converting all but the minimum salary to a signing bonus and lowering his 2025 cap hit by nearly $31 million. Because that money has already been allocated for the season, there will be minimal charges to Carr's 2025 cap hits. Again, quoting from Luke's story, according to a Spot Track report, Carr should leave behind dead cap charges of $14.5 million this season instead of $20.4 million. So he does save him $6 million this year on the cap, and $35.6 million next season after his retirement is processed. So prior to his retirement, he was set to count $20.4 million this year and $69.2 million next year. All right, so that's a savings of nearly $34 million of dead cap money for next year. That is a big deal. And not only that, he says, quote, and New Orleans is now positioned to be significantly in the black for the 2027 season, at which point several of their largest contracts will expire. So it's not just Derek Carr coming off the books, but there are other players coming off the books next year as well. Again, the Saints this is the era of rebuilding begins. All of you people wanting this, you're going to get what you wanted. I'm going to bring in Gabe now. We're going to talk more about the salary cap aspect. And Gabe, who we talked about agent possibilities and whom the Saints might be able to pick up if they were in the market for a veteran quarterback. Now it looks like there's about the cap. What I saw in Spot Track this morning, the Saints are about $27 million under the cap, thereabouts. Mm-hmm. And where does that lead to this team potentially, who they might be able to get? If they were looking at a quarterback, what are some of the names on that list?
So some of the names on the list, Aaron Rodgers, who we said probably not going to happen. I think he's either a Pittsburgh Steeler or he retires. Ryan Tannehill, who I believe is the most likely. Carson Wentz, Teddy Bridgewater, Tyler Huntley, Desmond Ridder, C.J. Beathard, Jeff
You almost
Driscoll.
made me spit my coffee out when you said Desmond Ridder. Easton Stick.
Also, I really did. I thought when you put up the odds a minute ago, the reason I was laughing is because you said, speaking of dumbasses, and I thought you were going to bring me in. And
no. I meant myself.
Got a good.
I was talking about myself, the dumbass.
Yeah.
You didn't bet on him. I did. I'm the dumbass.
I didn't
bet on him.
Yeah.
I'm an idiot. I mean, I spent all day Saturday eating crow, so I've eaten enough crow. Crow's apparently got a lot of protein in it because I'm still full from the crow on Saturday. All right. Well, look, I'm with you. I think the quarterback that makes the most sense is Ryan Tannehill. I think he's probably the most likely that's willing to take whatever the Saints can probably. You're thinking somewhere in the neighborhood of $8 million-ish, $6 to $8 million-ish.
I don't
and
think
for someone like
that much.
Well, someone for like Ryan Tannehill, and how let's look up Ryan Tannehill and see how old he is. He is 36. Okay, In fact, he's going to be 37. So to me, that is the kind of person that probably wouldn't mind at this stage of his career coming in and saying, you know what, I can be a backup. I don't care. He can help both Shough and Rattler, and he'll come in, and if he has to play, he has to play. But he wouldn't come in here thinking he's getting a starting job. And you don't really want – look, at this point, even I'm rooting for Tyler Shough / Spencer Rattler. I would rather see either one of those guys start than some veteran they bring in. I think it's the right move. You're just going to rip the Band-Aid off now.
Well, so here's the thing. As Christopher says, OMG, Ryan Tannehill, no. Ryan Tannehill would do infinitely more for this football team than Jake Haener.
No doubt. Oh, for sure.
I'm amazed that Jake Haener is still on this roster.
Well, he won't be too long.
As of Monday. Yeah, I don't think it'll last too long.
And Jack Hunter, you're missing the point. Ryan Overhill, you're not bringing in a veteran to start. You're bringing in a veteran to only play if you absolutely need him. Look, let's get real. Saints are going to suck next year. Okay. Yes. I don't think anyone that has any realistic look. Do I hope I'm wrong? Of course. I hope I'm wrong about this one. I really do. I hope I'm wrong about that. I hope Tyler Shough comes in and he's great, blah, blah, blah. But the Saints did not draft Tyler Shough with the 40th pick of the draft to come in here and sit behind somebody like a Ryan Tannehill. You just mentioned names. You don't want any of them to start. I mean, none of those guys, even Lance Stobart wants Teddy Two Glove. It doesn't really matter who you get because you're not bringing someone in. If you bring in an Aaron Rodgers, please, for the love of Christ, no. But unless you bring in an Aaron Rodgers, you're not bringing someone in to start. You want someone, and that's why a Ryan Tannehill, again, at age 37 in July, I think would be a good fit because he'd be like another quarterback coach in that room. And if he has to start, he has to start.
Yeah, put it this way. If you're Teddy, I see a lot of comments for Teddy Bridgewater. If you're Teddy Bridgewater and you're not going to get a chance to play and you're essentially just a quarterback's coach, why would you not stay with Detroit and just be at least be a quarterback coach in the quarterback room for a winning team?
Yeah, he and Dan Campbell are like brothers, blood brothers.
Yeah. So I did want to point out a comment. Two things. Chad, to answer your question, if they don't spend the money in the cap this year, does it carry over? No, it does not.
Nope.
And then Jason says, if Shough is the future, he needs snaps, good or bad, throw him
into
the fire, him and the rat. He will get the snaps. That I am more than willing to bet that any combination of Shough and Rattler are going to start all, if not a majority of games next season.
Yeah, right.
That is going to happen at this point.
Which is what we're both saying here. Neither one of us is saying we hope they sign Ryan Tannehill so Ryan Tannehill can start. No. I mean, like you talked about Saturday. You're the one that pointed this out, and I didn't know this till you said this. There are 0 wins in that Saints. There are 0 quarterback wins in the Saints locker room. That includes the coach. So now they're 0-9 if you can include Kellen Moore. You got to have some veteran in there that can help these guys. That's what this is about.
0-10.
No, because 0-7 plus 0-2.
No, but I thought Jake Haener was 0-1.
Yeah, but Rattler's 0-6. He came in. Okay. He came the game that Haener started. He only played the first half. Rattler actually came in and played well for a half. But
so
against
Jason, he's made an AFC Championship game.
Well, he's a veteran that's been around this league for a long time.
Yeah, he's been in the league for over a decade. You want
way longer than a decade.
Jake Haener is doing nothing for you on this roster. With all respect to Jake Haener, I've got no problem with the guy. I don't mean that personally. He's got no use and no future on this football team.
Ryan Tannehill is 81-70 in his career. He has thrown for 34,000 yards in his career. He has 216 touchdowns to 115 interceptions. I think he knows a little something about playing football.
So
just saying.
To compare this to something I know, the reason that you
by the way, he's also played in 5 playoff games. So there you go.
Yeah, the reason you want to sign a guy like Tannehill, it's almost like what the Texans did with C.J. Stroud a few years ago. They signed Case Keenum to be their number 3 quarterback. He's purely there for experience. He's, when it's a lot of things that we don't see. C.J. Stroud has talked about, in the film room. He's often there to deflect, kind of take the pressure off, help out with the coaches because he's been around. None of these 3 guys have been in there very long. I mean, Jake Haener's the most experienced quarterback on this roster, and he's been in the NFL for 2 years.
And look, I wouldn't even mind it if Tannehill's the guy who's the inactive guy on Sundays. I mean,
He probably will be.
If you want to make Rattler the second string quarterback, I'm fine with that. You want to make Rattler the second string quarterback and somebody gets hurt and you put Rattler in instead of Tannehill, fine. I'm not asking for Tannehill to even come in. Again, I'm asking for a veteran quarterback in the room who's been through all these situations that can help these guys. And I think a guy like Carson Wentz, I don't think he's a fit because I think he probably still thinks he can start. You don't want a guy that's like itching to get in the game, which I think he would be itching to get in the game. Again, Teddy Two Gloves is probably more suited to go back to being a high school coach and come back in December after his high school season's over and go back to Detroit and do what he wants to do. And honestly, I don't know that there's anybody else on that list that you were talking about that I'm even interested in to bring in as a side veteran.
So here's an interesting answer to a question that Lance has. He said, is there a veteran quarterback that Moore has crossed paths with before? Funnily enough, yes, the Saints just cut him. The Saints just cut him, funnily enough. Ben DiNucci.
Ben DiNucci.
I believe
Easton
he
Stick
coached
also
him in Dallas.
He coached Easton Stick in the Chargers.
So to an interesting note from Zach Ewing on Twitter earlier. He kind of took my idea and ran with it. He said, I was hoping to find out how rare the Saints quarterback situation is. I'm looking for other quarterback rooms that have 0 NFL victories, and I finally found one. He had to go all the way back to 2001 with the Carolina Panthers. They went 1-15 going into the season with that quarterback room. So I think it's not going to make a difference. Everyone's anti-Tannehill, but
by the way, Jason, all good. Absolutely. We're trying to get the info. Yeah, you're good. You're good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what we're here to do. We're here to help you understand stuff like that. You will not notice Tannehill if he's on this roster. You won't notice any of the veterans, most likely, because they will probably not play. The Saints are probably going to see what they have in their 2 young guys, for better or for worse, and it's going to be for worse, more than likely. So that's how I think we all need to view the situation.
Chad Gage asked, can Breeze fill in like a QB advisor to fill that role? I am not going to bash the almighty savior on this team.
I will.
But I'm going to put it this way. He doesn't want to, Chad. He doesn't care.
Okay. We have zero evidence. I'll bash him. We have zero evidence to suggest that Drew Brees is a good quarterback coach or a good coach in general. It's nothing against Drew Brees. He doesn't want to do that. His kids are starting to play high. Yeah, he got his teeth kicked in.
Yeah, it's not only that. He wants to spend time he wants to be around. His son is either going into high school. His oldest son is either going into high school or he's very close, and I promise you he wants to spend more time doing that. Corey says Joe Flacco or Anthony Richardson trade.
I saw some people mention Kenny Pickett. I could actually see Joe Flacco being much a more likely option for the Saints. Well, you would much rather Kenny Pickett, but the Browns traded for him.
No, I'd much rather Kenny Pickett than Anthony Richardson.
Oh,
Anthony Richardson is not a veteran enough. That doesn't do what
Anthony Richardson is also not going to get traded. I don't think.
No, he's not.
Until the Colts are willing to move on from Chris Ballard in that regime, I don't think they're going to part with Anthony Richardson.
Jack Hunter wants to know what Drew Brees' flag football record is. I don't know.
I don't have that off the top of my head.
I don't know. All right. Any final thoughts yet? I know, we've talked a lot about like rebuilding and all this stuff you've been through as a Texans fan, as someone who's lived in Houston. You're a Houstonian born and raised. Just talk about, what rebuilding is like. Your team actually did it faster than most teams do it, but it started with a quarterback. So if you're going to compare, it's hard to compare Tyler Shough to CJ Stroud because CJ Stroud.
It didn't start with a quarterback.
Well, I guess it started with the hiring D'Amico Ryans, but
no, the rebuild started 2 years prior when they finally got rid of Bill O'Brien. The reason that the Texans rebuild was so quick is because they committed to it right off the bat.
Okay.
They steadily released all of the veterans that they had. They just signed guys on 1-year prove-it deals, and they built the team up through the draft until they were good enough to sign people as free agents, and then they hit on their quarterback. CJ Stroud was the last piece of the puzzle of the rebuild.
Well, my point is you got to have a coach and you got to
Mm-hmm.
have a quarterback, and the Texans got that in the same year. Maybe it's coincidence. Maybe it
I think DeMeco Ryans was always their guy.
yeah.
It's just, and this is what I did want to actually talk about Kellen Moore real quick. DeMeco Ryans was never going to be put in the position that David Culley was in. And I think that's exactly why David Culley was given a chance with the Texans, because they committed to sucking.
They did. This team's not.
And when you have teams that suck, you don't have happy fan bases, and the coach is under a lot of pressure.
We're about to find that out.
I think Kellen Moore has been given an assurance that he is the Saints guy for the future. I don't think you're going to see a change in head coach as quickly as you did with Dennis Allen. I think Kellen Moore is going to see this thing through for better or for worse.
Big Sean's coming. You want to show that and answer it?
No, our owner died.
Well, I mean, you still got rid of him.
He did get rid of him. And then the GM, no, our GM was
cross him off then.
Well, technically, Big Sean, yes, you're correct, because our GM, when Bill O'Brien got fired, was Bill O'Brien.
Cross him
So
off.
we hired an actual GM after, because Jack Easterby was a preacher playing pretend and team president acting as GM. Once the Texans rebuild, I think really started when Jack Easterby got kicked out of the building. They hired Nick Caserio and accelerated that rebuild. So it's not
look, here's the thing though.
Process, but I think Kellen Moore is going to be here. I don't think, and I'm saying this to everyone, don't judge Kellen Moore on what happens over the next 2 years.
Kaiser Soze, man, I didn't. Wow, we're getting big if Kaiser Soze is watching the show. What do you think about Mickey as an outsider? You don't hate him as much as the Saints.
I think he's too stubborn for his own good.
Yeah, well, that's definitely true.
I think what he has done over the past years has been he's tried to field a competitive team, and I will give him his tip of the cap. He tried to maximize Drew Brees' window because he understood that Drew Brees doesn't grow on trees, as everyone knows. I mean, as you like to say, he's gone and he's not coming back. So what Mickey Loomis did is he sacrificed the future to try and maximize that championship window, and it almost paid off.
Yeah, you're right.
But now I think, and we used this term the other day. We used the term forced rebuild because that's what this is. I
wish they would just admit it, though. I wish they would just admit it.
That's the thing. I don't think Mickey Loomis was willing to commit to a rebuild, but this Derek Carr news means he's got no choice now. This is a rebuild, for better or for worse. Like I've said,
right? That's what I'm saying. The era of rebuild. You can say whatever we want.
Yeah,
we're definitely in it now.
It's a rebuild. Right. So I think we're going to find out actually a lot about Mickey Loomis over the next few seasons if he can stomach a rebuild. And how he navigates this. I know people haven't been happy with his roster management, but how I view it is he's really just on the back end of some horrible cap management that it's the consequences of some decisions he made when Drew Brees was still around. So now I think you talked about the cap situation earlier. It's going to get better.
It's definitely going to get better. You got to go through one more year of this crap, and even next year. Yeah, and even in 2026, even with that dead cap space hit, it's not going to be anything like. Remember when we go bring yourself back to March 10th, right before they got into that deadline or whatever, Gabe, and they had to do all these different things. At one point, they were like 110 million over the cap. Mm-hmm. That won't happen again. So now they're going to go into next year. I think it's somewhere between 30 and 50 million of total dead. Well, we said it. Maybe it's less than that, but whatever it is, it's way less. And we'll talk about the cap more as we get towards next year, because we'll be doing the same thing next year that we were doing this year and starting to look at the future in November and December. But it'll be in a lot better. This team will be in a lot better shape. Hopefully, this is the lowest of low.
Here's what I will say: all of this could be a wash if Tyler Shough is a good quarterback.
Yeah.
If he comes out good, people will be singing Mickey Loomis's praises for drafting him.
Oh no, they won't. No, they won't. They'll give Kellen
It's
Moore
a very
the credit.
slim chance that Tyler Shough is that good, but if
Tyler
he's that good,
if Tyler
might
Shough is good, they will credit Kellen Moore. If Tyler Shough sucks, they will blame it on Mickey Loomis. 100%. Before we let you go, by the way, I want to let everyone know we are not, and it's not because we've stunk at it, but the man versus machine segment, we're gonna hold off on that for a little bit. We will come back to it. I want to come back to it when there's more things to bet on. Right now, there's just not enough stuff to bet on. So we're gonna. I don't want to say this.
If you know where to look.
Yeah, we're gonna just disband it for a little bit and come back as we get closer to football season. But Mark Gapsky asked, he wants you to the name of the website the best odds on sports bet and what your real job is. Tell them again.
Sportsbook
Gabe.
Review. So work for Sportsbook Review, and anyone who's bummed about Man versus Machine going away, Alex Caruso over 1.5 made 3-pointers tomorrow night. That's my if we did have Man versus Machine, that would
tell
be
them again. What would that be?
Sportsbook Review.
No.
Alex Caruso over 1.5 made 3-pointers. Game 5.
And then sportsbookreview.com.
Yep.
All right. We will see you on Wednesday when we start talking about the schedule.
Sounds good.
I'll see you, Gabe. Gabe Henderson, everyone. Before we move on to the last word, again, you got about probably, I'm going to say 10 minutes and be realistic. Get about 10 minutes to get in your last Saints comments of the day. I want to talk about, I can't believe, okay, you don't want me to talk about DC anymore. Don't mention that name anymore today. All right, well, we're going to move on from that. I do want to talk about minicamp and what I did take away from minicamp this weekend. And the only thing, look, you're not paying all that much attention in the grand scheme of things, right? We're kind of waiting for when everyone gets together. But I did notice a couple things, okay? And they're both related to Kelvin Banks. I'm so impressed by Kelvin Banks, okay? Again, we talk about what he's going to mean and what, Tyler Shough, we just don't know. But I would be shocked, okay, if Kelvin Banks doesn't come in here and isn't a fantastic player right off the bat. We talk about offensive line, and no matter who's playing quarterback, got to have an offensive line. I think they're so much better already. The question is, what are they going to do with Kelvin Banks? And already, he doesn't care where he plays. He really doesn't. I mean, if you listen to what he said, he doesn't care what he says, where he plays. He talks about tackle, guard, whatever. He's just playing football, and he's doing something that he's always wanted to do. I got more comments in the queue. I promise I will get into them. But when you're talking about where Kelvin Banks plays, obviously I have no say-so in it. Duh. If I did, my perfect scenario is this. Banks plays left tackle. Fuaga moves back to his native right tackle, which is where he played in college. And at left guard, you either have Dylan Radins, who they just signed, or if Penning can move to left guard. And I actually think that Trevor Penning can be a good left guard. But I love what Kelvin Banks said. I got a 1 and 10-second clip here that I want to play. And it just goes to show a couple things. It goes to show why this dude was a team captain at Texas. Dude, I just want to play football. Wherever they put me, I'm gonna be fine. And second of all, little subtle thing. It may mean something. Y'all always, I don't always say, but a lot of times you tell me I read too much into things. But trust me, sometimes I read too much into it. Sometimes I don't. Just look at the lower third, and it says Kelvin Banks, and what his description is under there. These are the Saints people that typed this up, not me. Just saying. Again, 1 minute and 10 seconds. We'll be back on the other side.
I'll just say the biggest thing is just the distance of contact, like where the contact point starts. Obviously, at guard, you're probably going to have contact point a little quicker than a tackle. But other than that, I feel like it's football at the end of the day.
Kelvin, does it feel a little bit like, I guess, information overload right now? You're moving around the spots and you're just trying to adjust and figure out which one you fit best in?
I mean, I wouldn't say yeah, but I wouldn't say no, just because information that they're giving us, I'm kind of used to it because some of the stuff we ran at UT is kind of similar concepts. It's just really learning the coach's terminology, how they want to do stuff, and then going and applying it on the field. It shouldn't matter if you're out there only on special teams. It shouldn't matter if you're just a guard on field goal just blocking. If you want to be out there in the field, you love football, then it doesn't matter what spot they put you at.
Coming into a team to start your NFL career and you don't really know who the quarterback's going to be.
I mean, like I said, in my standpoint, I'm an O-lineman. I'm going to just do my job. I'm going to go out there and perform to the best of my ability to make whoever the quarterback is that is going to be behind me or behind the other guys, their job easier. So I really don't have a specific answer for that question.
Just love what he said there. I mean, again, I know, what is he supposed to say? It's not what he said as much as it is the way that he said it. Put me at tackle guard, it doesn't make a difference. If you want him to play special teams, we're going to do that. This is a dude that just loves playing football. He's 21 years old. Played 42 games at Texas. 21 years old. He played 42 games at Texas, which is about as major college football as it gets. I'm excited about Kelvin Banks. And, that's not a name that was really even on my radar a month ago. The more I looked into it, and as we got closer to the draft and saw that Kelvin Banks was a possibility, the more I kind of got excited about it. So I did. Now I'm excited about him, and where he plays, I guess it doesn't really matter. But again, maybe reading too much into it, maybe not. The Saints media people on that lower third, Kelvin Banks got offensive tackle underneath there. They could have just put offensive lineman. I could tell you from being in rooms where you're editing or typing or whatever, and you say to somebody else in that room, maybe there was no else. These days, though, a lot of times you're doing things completely on your own. There's no one else in the room. But from someone who's worked in a newsroom, you say, what do we call Kelvin Banks again? If you weren't sure, you would just say, oh, just put offensive lineman. But that's somebody being specific and saying offensive tackle. I think that's where he's going to end up. I really do. Whether it matters or not, again, we don't know the answer of whether it's going to matter or not. They can put him wherever they want. They got a long way to go. They're going to play him everywhere. Again, that's what's great about this pick. He can play, he can play left tackle. He can play right tackle. He can play guard. Play any of those things. Rainy Cajuns here, because absolutely Loomis will take the brunt of any failures of this organization. Mrs. Benson ain't too far down the line from him, too. I would say, look, I'm not taking up for, they got into this situation. We just talked about the dead cap space going into March that they had to get themselves out of as they try to get themselves out of this hole they were in. They got put in it by Mickey Loomis. So I'm not giving him credit for that, but I think the steps that he's taken the past few months, again, I don't like anything that happened. This timing thing, this whole organization and what they've done, not a fan. I've already made that clear. I'm not going back into that. But again, they're not saying the words. They're not saying, go back to Derry's Dom. They're not using the R word, but I will. It's here in the title side. The era of rebuilding begins. It's a rebuilding mode. Jack Hunter says if Shough doesn't look good, if Shough stinks, that doesn't look good for Kellen Moore because that's his pick. Yeah, but that's not what the fans will say. Who dat daddy? Mickey already being barbecued. Big Sean, if Shough is good, I'm crediting Moore. If he sucks, I'm blaming Moore. Hold you to that. I'm going to hold you to that. I'll believe that when I see it. You could be right. You might be telling me the truth. Jason Sykes, got to give you credit. Didn't you tell me he was going to retire? First of all, I'm not saying you didn't, but I don't remember that you said that. And I doubt seriously I would ever say you were being disrespectful because you would say he's going to retire. I'm sure you're taking something out of context. Please point me to where I said that exactly like that. I'll go back looking up and I'll give you an apology if I'm wrong on Wednesday. I probably did say you were being disrespectful, but it probably didn't have anything to do with the fact that you might have said that Carr was going to retire. I doubt that seriously. I mean, again, point me to which show and when, and I'll go back and look. And again, if I'm wrong, apology on Friday. It's coming your way. Got to get to the last word in just a minute. You got another minute or two to get your comment in. A-Town. The Saints land Aaron Rodgers over the Steelers. I will pay top dollar to see me go nuclear on this show. You know, I'm A-Town. It's been a while since I've gone nuclear. I don't know if I had it in. I don't know if I have it in me anymore. I don't know. I say that. I probably do. I probably do. Last episode. That was Saturday, Jason. That was Saturday. What are you talking about? I have no idea what you're talking about. I really don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. Honestly, I remember you and I not getting along about something, but I don't know what you're talking about. Gabe wants to come back on and I guess say something. Sure. I mean, you want to come back on? Okay. No, he's just, oh yeah, come back. Go. You remember what he's talking about?
No. So you said, I don't know if I have it in me to go nuclear anymore. And I said, do you want to bring me on and find out? Just
you're gonna press.
I did have.
You've been talking with UBN, huh?
I did have one quick final comment.
Go ahead, because we got to get to the last word. So go ahead.
Yeah. On the umpire, I will stick up for the umpire in this regard, or at least have you ponder this. The LSU game didn't end until around 1:30 in the morning on Friday.
That's true, and they played early. Yeah, but this was yesterday when it got. I thought it was yesterday.
No. I know. But then he watched a baseball game that got out of hand on Saturday. It was LSU run ruled Arkansas. It was the 8th inning, I believe, that Jay Johnson got tossed, or the 7th inning.
Yeah, 8th inning.
Have we considered maybe the umpire was just over it? Maybe he just wanted to get out of there.
I got another opinion that I'm a funny opinion about it when I get to.
That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, but I'm sorry.
Maybe just consider that.
If you throw a dude out for like saying you flinched, because what he said is you flinched, you missed it. I mean, we're gonna get to it.
Yeah, I agree with you. It was he does have a short fuse, but maybe he just wanted to get out of it.
Maybe so. All right, well, let's end the show, and I will see you on Wednesday. We got like 5 minutes left here. All right. Last couple comments here. Lewis Handel. I don't know if you knew. I'm sorry if I don't remember you, but welcome to the Dattitude family. You will remind me of my over-the-top skepticism about Shough. I don't know how he doesn't know how I can't be excited about this young stud. Well, first of all, he ain't that young. Oh, there you go. Gabe says he's not that young. He's 26. I can't be young because I went and compared him to other quarterbacks. And look, I get it. Okay, so you can't go all by stats. I get it, okay? But I'm looking at his numbers compared to other quarterbacks that were available. And even the Dylan Gabriels of the world, people that were available later, they just don't fire me up. I'm not going to. I get that. Also, a guy that was hurt 3 times or whatever, had season-ending injury. I don't care what anybody says. Injury prone isn't a thing. The hell it isn't. If you get hurt, there's a reason why you got hurt. I'm not a doctor. I don't know what the reason why is, but I just don't want a guy that has already missed, 2 seasons because of season-ending injuries? I just don't want that kind of guy. I don't want a guy that's been in college for 7 years. I just don't. Guys that have been in college for 7 years, you know what they call them? They call them doctors, not quarterbacks. That's why I'm not excited about Shough. Please, for the love of Christ, prove me wrong. I don't want to go through this crap anymore, just like you don't. I hope I'm wrong. I hope Kellen Moore is right. I just don't see it. He knows more than I do, so there's a much better chance he's right than I'm right. But if you're asking me why I'm skeptical about Tyler Shough, that's the reason. I don't want a doctor playing quarterback. I want a quarterback playing quarterback. Just saying. Well, you might be right, Lewis. He says wrong one. 25 is the new 20. Just like apparently 60 is the new 40. Gonna find that one out in a few years. All right. Thank y'all for all the comments today. We had a great back and forth. By the way, this will be the last comment of the day. Corey Atkins says, people forget not only is your quarterback a rookie, your head coach is also a rookie. That's a recipe for rebuild. Don't expect much, just saying. Yeah. I hear you. With you. Who dat daddy? Great show. He's with me on Shough. Who dat family loves New Orleans. How can you not? I always wondered, people that even the ones that aren't from here, how can you not love this city? We can't be friends if you don't like New Orleans. You don't have to love the Saints, and you can make fun of the Saints, and we can be friends. But we can't be friends if you think New Orleans is a bad city. We can't be friends. I mean, I know I'm biased. I've lived here my whole life. I don't want to live anyone else now. All right, time to move on to the last word. I do not have prepared statements for this. However, I know what I'm going to say. Hey, up! The truth hurts. Did y'all see any of the LSU series over the weekend? More specifically, did you see Sunday's game? The only one the LSU Tigers. The now number one LSU baseball Tigers lost. Again, didn't get to talk much about them, which I would have. Don't leave me yet. Don't leave me yet. You're going to want to see this. I saw some numbers drop off. I know you Saints fans. Don't leave me yet. Give me 3 minutes. Because I want to see if you agree with me that if there's an umpire out there that's umpiring college baseball and you have a fuse that is this short, you got bigger issues in life. You probably shouldn't be umpiring college baseball because Jay Johnson got ejected. And look, it's happened. Jay Johnson's got ejected before. Lord knows, in my time as a baseball coach, both in Little League and then coaching in 7th and 8th grade baseball, I've been tossed out of games before. I know it's hard to believe. But to get tossed out for basically nothing because someone's being a little critical of you, I don't care if it's balls and strikes or whatever it is, whether it's the right call, what's the wrong call, that doesn't even matter. But to get tossed for something so silly and meaningless to me just goes to show that some people shouldn't be umpiring college baseball. But we kind of knew that already. Take a look for yourself. 41-second clip. Then we can tell me what you think on the other side.
Hernandez turns around and Jay Johnson pops out of the dugout. He's gone. Jay Johnson just got tossed. Brandon Cooper. You say you did not give me a warning.
Look at Brandon Cooper and tell me that dude ain't a cigarette smoker. As someone who smoked for, 30 years or whatever it was, I could tell you that dude needed a cigarette. And maybe he's trying to quit right now and he forgot his patch. I know I'm reaching out there, but I'm telling you, to have a fuse that short, the dude needed a cigarette. Go ahead. I bet you if you asked him, you'd find out. Couldn't wait. First thing he did when he got off there was either put a patch on or went and took a couple puffs. Because all Jay Johnson said was, you flinched, you got to be wrong. And then the umpire asked him to say it again, and all he said was the same thing. He didn't cuss. He didn't yell at him. You can't tell me that every single umpire on planet Earth doesn't hear worse than that at some point during a game. Give me a break. So I say the next time, maybe they should move the reviews to like behind the dugout. They go behind the dugout. They say they're going to review a play. Dude goes behind the dugout, takes a couple puffs. You never see it. He comes back. All is right with the world. And he's happy again. Come on, man. That's ridiculous. I'm lying. Somebody else is going to get the last word. UBN. I think this ump was more pissed at the fans than Jay. He couldn't throw the fans out. A-Town's saying we have a new segment, the man versus the fly. Lance said, that man said, don't leave. I'm not leaving. He hopped on a pod from the parking lot in the dark after a long baseball game. Give me 3 minutes. Loves the Dattitude family. And with that, we're going to leave. I'm just saying. Didn't cost, didn't do anything. Didn't say, hey, bleepity, bleepity, bleep. That was a bleeping strike. No. He said you flinched. Don't flinch. Probably right. All right, that's going to wrap it up for us on this Monday. Another fantastic Mano E Monday. This show is getting bigger every single week, and it's because of you, and we thank you so much for being a part of the Dattitude family, whether you just became a member this past week or two, or whether you've been with us for a year, or since we started back in September of 2021. September of 2021. That's right. Stan Verrett, episode number 1. You can find it. You got to go to StreamYard to find that one. I think you can find it on the regular audio podcast places, but it was a audio only pod. I did not save the video. I did it on Zoom, but I didn't save it. I should have. Didn't. Wish I would have. Way back in September of 2021. But you're with us, and we thank you for being with us. And again, making this show bigger every single week. Keep it growing. Keep it going. I want to thank today's guest. Of course, it was Gabe Henderson and you, always our guest here on Dattitude. We hope you can join us next on Wednesday when we'll welcome in who the hell knows. I don't know who the guest is Wednesday. I know what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about schedule release. We're going to be talking about where the Pelicans are going to pick. So all you Pelicans fans want us to talk about Pelicans. By the way, Jason Benson says, as a smoker himself, I am correct. I am telling you, as a smoker for 30 years, I quit 2.5 years ago. I know when somebody needs a cigarette, that dude needed a cigarette. A reminder to subscribe to our Dattitude YouTube page. Click the little bell to receive notifications. You would have known. Had you clicked the little bell before Saturday, you would have known that we were having a live show. You had to find it after the fact. That's okay. At least you watched. You get notifications when we go on the air live, and you got to subscribe. If you watch it on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube. It's pretty simple. Be a part of the Dattitude family. You can also find us wherever you get your podcasts, including Apple, Spotify, many more. Find a replay of the show on NOLA.com/sports. I hope y'all have a great start to your week. It is the last full week of the kiddos in school. Oh, my God. Help me now. Let's hope Wednesday is a little bit easier than today, and we start on time Wednesday. I'll do my best. Until then, we'll see you later. Take it easy, my friends.
If you're looking for the latest scoop and in-depth interviews on the Saints, the NFL, the Pelicans, LSU, along with the best bets of the week, then lucky you. Along with high-powered, in-the-know guests who cover our teams, Jim Derry brings plenty of Dattitude. And he'll always tell you the way it is, or at least the way he thinks it is.